Now for our story. Ben Calvert was a man of exceptionally vengeful nature. This had been shown by the trouble he took to discredit his former son-in-law, Bill Meade. It was Ben who had started the false rumors which led eventually to near tragedy at the Descari home. Now, as Ben walks down an aisle in Henry Swanson's store, Henry approaches him.
Well, good afternoon, Ben.
Oh, hello there, Henry. Yes, just doing a little window shopping.
Window shopping, eh? We don't encourage it around here, Ben. We prefer a solid cash transaction.
If that's the case, Henry, you do well to lower your prices. Good heavens, man, look at this brown tie here. If that's worth $7.50, I'm a monkey's uncle.
That happens to be an imported hand-woven tie, Ben. That's worth every penny of $7.50. You'd pay $10 for it in the city.
Maybe some other darn fool would, but not I.
Oh, would you like it if I came over to your office and argued the price of land with you, Ben?
I tell you off just the way you're telling me off.
Well, then we're even.
You awfully busy right now, Henry?
You mean in general, or right this minute?
No, this afternoon.
Why, no, not particularly.
Neither am I. Let's say we have a cup of coffee together.
Well, there are several things I have to...
Oh, come along, man. Don't give me this busy executive routine.
Okay, Ben. I guess I can take off half an hour.
Fine. This is a quiet time at the coffee shop. We'll have it all to ourselves. Henry, I've been meaning to tell you for the last couple of days, but, well, it slipped my mind every time I saw you. I think you deserve to be commended for your stand on this Bill Meade rubbish.
How do you mean, Ben?
Now, don't be modest. When I heard the board members had insisted on Meade's resignation there at the bank, I knew it must be your doing.
Oh, come, Ben. What made you think it was my idea?
Well, for one thing, I know you're like me, Henry. You don't hold with these modern ideas regarding marriage. You believe as I do, that a man's home is his castle. And anyone who tries to break in, well, he deserves whatever he gets in the way of punishment.
I see.
That's why I was sure you were the one who had insisted on clamping down on Bill Meade. It would have been an outrage to keep him on at the bank after the way he's behaved. Everyone knows he's been running after that Descari girl, Mario's wife.
Hold on a minute, Ben. I'm afraid you got me wrong.
What do you mean?
I'm not absolutely convinced it was such a smart idea, demanding Bill's resignation.
What?
After all, Ben, there was just circumstantial evidence. There's no proof Bill was involved in what happened at the Descaris.
No proof, you say? Just the word of everyone in Wakefield.
Well, yeah, people have done a lot of talking, but as Mary Lane says...
Mary Lane? Mary Lane. Henry, have you been talking this over with Mary Lane?
Well, she and David Bowman came up to see me this afternoon.
I might have known.
Might have known what, Ben?
The way you were talking, this pussyfoot attitude. I should have known Mary Lane had put in her 2 cents worth somewhere along the line.
Look here, Ben. I've got a lot of respect for Mary Lane.
Yes, apparently. She wound you around her finger just the way she tries to do with everyone else.
It just so happens Mary has a somewhat different perspective. After I'd talked to her a while, I begun to see a lot of merit in her viewpoint. After all, Ben, every question has 2 sides. I got to thinking about it, and it dawned on me that I'd just been looking at one of them.
Henry, in a matter of morality, there can't be 2 sides. There's just one. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah, sure, I agree with you. But the point is, as Mary says, we've no proof whatsoever that Bill Meade had anything to do with Carla Descari. In fact, Mary says she's willing to swear it's not so. And after all, she knows Bill and the Descaris a whole lot better than we do.
Perhaps you're forgetting, Henry. Bill was once married to my daughter.
Yeah, that's right. I am sorry, Ben. It did slip my mind at the moment. But even so, that doesn't prove that Bill had any...
It proves that I'm in a better position to know what he's capable of than Mary Lane is. And I say that boy's as guilty as it's possible to be.
Well, Ben, that was the way I felt. I'm a man who takes a long time to make up his mind. And a long time to change it. But after due consideration, I've decided in Meade's favor.
In his favor?
By that, I mean that he's innocent until there's a better reason than anyone's produced so far for believing him guilty. And on that basis, I mean to persuade the board he ought to have his job back.
Henry's last statement caused Ben Calvert to close his lips in a tight, angry line. The men finished their coffee, parted coldly, and went their separate ways. Thinking of their conversation as he drove back to his home on 11th Street, Ben felt his anger mount. By the time he arrived home, he was in a mood of angry frustration, which was apparent before he had spoken a word. His wife, Jessie, looked up in surprise as Ben stalked into the living room.
Well, good heavens, Ben, what on earth's happened? Ben, where have you been? I know something's gone wrong.
Jesse, if there's anything I can't stand, it's a man who lets himself be pulled around by the nose.
Well, I must say that's an ambiguous remark. Who's being pulled around, pray tell, and who's doing the pulling?
I can't get over it. Henry Swanson, of all people.
Henry Swanson? Well, for heaven's sake, then, sit down and tell me all about it. If you don't let off steam, you'll burst.
Jesse, I swear sometimes I lose the little faith I have in human nature.
Oh, now, Ben. In the first place, you haven't enough to lose. You're one of the most cynical men I've ever known. But what's this got to do with Henry Swanson? Don't tell me he's run off with your secretary, or absconded with some money, or that he...
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Jesse. It's just that Henry's such a fool.
Perhaps he is. That doesn't explain your barging in here breathing fire.
Jesse, I told you the bank had given Bill Meade his walking papers, remember?
Yes, Ben, you told me in detail.
I knew as soon as I heard about it that Henry Swanson must have been the ringleader. He's the only man on the board strong enough to hold out against David Bowman. He's always dominated the rest of the men and pretty much had his say. Being the largest stockholder next to David gives him precedence, you see.
Ben, I wish you'd get to the point.
I saw Henry this afternoon. I started to congratulate him on the stand he's taken. Jesse, do you know what that blockhead intends to do?
Can't imagine. Unless he plans to give Bill a job at the store.
That would be bad enough, yes. No, Jesse. Swanson's decided Bill ought to have his job back at the bank. He's going to have Bill reinstated.
I see. Well, then, after all, is it such a tragedy?
For me to stand around and see Bill Meade get by with the despicable thing he's done, get off scot-free after what he's done to me, to my own daughter? Jesse, I'm amazed that you can ask such a question.
What an obsession you have where Bill's concerned.
Call it an obsession if you like. The fact remains he's gotten by with murder ever since he's landed in this town. Makes me see red just thinking about it.
Yes, Ben, I know. It's such a mania with you. Too bad there isn't some way to... Ben, I believe I have an idea. I don't know whether it would work, but it might be worth trying.
What is it, Jesse?
You know that property, the site of Swanson's store? Do you own it, or does he?
I do. And releases it from me.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. Ben, when does his lease come up for renewal?
Shortly, why?
That's good.
Good. Why, what is it?
Look, Ben. Suppose you refuse to renew it unless Henry agreed to sell you his stock. If you could get in on that board of directors, of course you'd have to be elected, but that shouldn't be too difficult. Don't you see, Ben? Then you'd be able to do whatever you wanted.
Jesse, I think you've really hit on something. Believe me, if I were sitting on that board, there'd be no fear of Bill's ever getting his job back.
Of course. It does seem like a lot of trouble just to get back at him.
It would be well worth it, Jesse. Not to mention a good investment. Yes, Jesse. Yes. You're a very smart woman.
Thank you, Ben. I'm glad you're beginning to realize.
But perhaps, Ben, if you knew the reason your wife is so helpful, you might not be so grateful to her. For Jessie is not thinking of your welfare, Ben. She's thinking of herself and Brett Cameron.